so much for coming today. I realized I forgot to change the rewards, so let me turn on the proper channel point things. Let's see. I just need to make sure the sound ones are off. So we don't want any loud sounds while we're doing this. So let me take those off. Alright. I pretty much just have everything off. I don't think I'm gonna have the normal ASMR readings on since I'm just gonna be focused on reading stories. But yeah. Because I'm going to little green. Welcome in, everyone. Klaus, thank you so much for the lurk. Julie, welcome. So good to see you. Thank you for coming. Oh my goodness. How's everyone doing today? How is everyone? Sorry, yeah, we're streaming so early, so I don't even know how many people are gonna show up, but excuse me. Yeah, we're streaming nice and early today. I'm sorry I'm a bit late. I was like, oh, I'll stream at 10. And I'm like, my stupid ass went to bed at 1 a.m. last night, and then I overslept. So like, why did I think that I would for some reason be like awake and ready to stream at 10 a.m.? I think the answer is because I'm stupid. So we're here at almost 11:30 instead. I'm sorry. I need to just next time you see on my schedule, like I'm streaming at 10 a.m., just be like, Snur, you're not gonna be up that early, you stupid motherfucker. Yeah. But we're gonna get started with some spooky story readings. If you guys have any spooky suggestions, let me know and I'd be happy to look up the story, as long as it abides to us. I'm just gonna be reading off creepypasta. I almost said copypasta. Off of creepypasta. Timmy, welcome in. Timmy, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for coming. Welcome. But yeah. We're just gonna be reading off of creepypasta. Oh, I need to turn my mic up a little bit. My mic's a little quiet. Okay. There we go. Yeah, we're just gonna be doing some creepypasta readings. I hope you guys enjoy it. If there's any spooky stories I'm gonna read, just let me know. But yeah, without further ado, get comfy and let's get creepy. Alright. So, this one is called Room for Two. Written by Tim Sprague, and I've never read any of these before, so it's my first time with all of these. So I have no idea what's coming. Alright. Sorry, I'm getting comfy. I'm a huge scaredy cat, so if I need to stop reading a story at night, if it gets too scary for me, I might just have to fucking look up kid stories. But I think I'll be okay, so I gotta sip of my tea. Okay. Over the past couple of weeks, I've had a number of well-intentioned people in my general orbit comment that they notice a large uptick in the amount of alcohol that I've been consuming. That's a fancy way of saying that I've been drinking myself to a stupor every night. Now, I can't say that they're wrong. I also can't say that their concerns aren't valid. I also can't say that I'm not drinking enough daily to drown a fucking fish. Phoenix, welcome in. Thank you. I'm so glad. It's so good to see you, sweetheart. Thank you so much for coming. You know what they say, though? I can look right in the eye and say with absolute certainty that if you ever find out what's in the dark, waiting for you like I did, you'll be inclined to knock back some shots too. Wait, well, I see our ads now. Where's the rest of the story? I'll read more. There we go. Okay. Thank you for the alert, Joby. I love you. There are two things that you need to know right off the bat about how all of this started. The first is that my father was the head of a very prestigious crime family. By prestigious, I mean anyone with half a brain was afraid to cross it. Since I'm not an idiot, I won't be providing either his name, shall I say, business venture? The second thing is that I never got involved with his dealings, not at any point in my life. My mother, bless her soul, made sure of that. I never had a desire to be part of that world anyway. Sure, the money would have been appreciated, but when you grow up hearing stories about people that never got to enjoy the fruits of their labor because of the dangers associated with working for my father, you understand that there are better ways to support yourself. Rar, welcome in. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for coming. The problem, at least in my case, is that there are other folks out there that couldn't give two shits about the personal choices you've made. This was the point that made me rather violently one Friday afternoon. One minute I'm walking down the street through my supposedly safe neighborhood. The next I'm being snatched by two thugs that could be best described as living mountains. The smaller, and I use the term loosely, of the two shoved one gloved hand over my mouth, and they carried me into the back of a waiting van with no effort. A gag was shoved into my gullet, and a hood was thrown over my head. There was no way to know how much time had passed when the van finally came to a stop. It had definitely been a while. I heard the van's back doors open, and a moment later, I was being pulled out of the vehicle. The hood was removed. I gratefully breathed in the fresh air through my nose. Standing in front of me was a woman, about 6 inches shorter than me. She seemed even smaller with the two giant men flanking her. The expensive business suit and gun holstered around her waist said louder than words that this woman, that both demanded reserved and respect. I felt the blood drain off my face as I took a quick look around and found that we were standing in a cemetery. The woman explained to me that she and her associates were employees of a certain business rival of my father's. Her employer had come to the conclusion that it was time for my father to retire, and that the part of his retirement plan should be to give up his territory. At the same time, her employer didn't want to get blood all over the streets. It was determined that the best way to make the transfer of power nice and clean was to adopt me and use me as a bargaining chip. She turned and started walking across the cemetery. The two large men gripped me under arms and half carried, half dragged me after her. It was an old graveyard with heavily weathered and broken headstones that were in the process of being reclaimed by grass and weeds. Our little group came to a stop in front of a gnarled husk of a tree with an open grave in front of it. I tilted my head to look inside the hole. It went down a good 5 or 6 feet, and there was a coffin at the bottom. Its lid was open, and there was a lime green oxygen tank placed inside of it. The woman gave me a long look before asking if I knew where I was. There were the beginnings of a pretty nasty smile at the edges of her lips. That didn't bode well.
I couldn't answer because of the gag that was filling my mouth, so I simply shook my head. She proceeded to tell me that I was standing in front of the resting place of Tabitha Alden, a woman who had lived in the area almost 400 years earlier. The townspeople had claimed that after being mocked and humiliated by a group of children, she had made a pact with the devil. She used her newfound powers to enchant the children and force them to hang themselves in the nearby woods. The story also said that she had helped a demon possess a minister who had gone on to murder half a dozen of the town's residents before they managed to subdue him. She had been proclaimed a witch, and the sentence that came with it was death. The townspeople had carried out that sentence by burying her alive. My captor informed me that, unlike the story, she was going to give me a choice. I could choose to get into the casket wailingly, or I could choose for her to put a bullet in the back of my head right then and there. One of the men pulled out a gag and that I could respond. I wasn't much of a choice. I picked the casket. As I slowly lowered myself into the coffin, I was careful to avoid stepping on the oxygen tank. Like I said earlier, I'm not an idiot. Like Tabitha Alden before me, they were going to bury me alive for as long as it took to my father to agree to the terms. The last thing I needed was to accidentally damage the only thing that would be keeping me alive.
CT, thank you so much for the lurk. One Pessy, welcome in, sweetheart. Thank you so much for coming in. Get cozy, get spooky.
That was assuming my father actually gave in to their demands, of course. I figured it was a coin flip at best. I laid down in the casket. It was disturbing, to say the least. I barely fit inside of it. There wasn't much room for me to move my arms or legs, and the top of my head bumped against the wood. The woman instructed me to put on the plastic mask attached to the oxygen tank, and I complied. It covered my nose and mouth, and it fit tightly against my skin. I once again did as I was told, as she had me turn the tank's valve to open the flow of oxygen into the mask. One of the men reached into the grave with a snort of amusement, slammed the coffin lid shut.
I'm doing well, thank you for asking.
I had done my best to stay calm when my kidnappers had been able to see me. I was determined not to give them the satisfaction of seeing me afraid. They obviously wanted me to be, because there was no other reason to pick this particular location for the burial and to tell me the story behind it. The moment the wood closed down over on top of me, I was plunged into darkness. However, fear began to overtake me. It was the sound of dirt being shoveled onto the lid that really pushed me over the edge. I screamed for them to let me out. My voice was muffled by the mask, and what noise did escape sounded flat in the confines of the coffin. I started out as a demand, but it quickly turned into a plea. I yelled they didn't need to do this, that I could speak with my father on their behalf to give them whatever they wanted. I told them they didn't have to do this. The only response was the thudding of more earth slapping against the lid. Each thud grew fainter until they stopped entirely. I tried to push against the top of the casket with my hands, but I couldn't get much force behind it due to the limited space. Changing tactics, I bent my legs as much as possible to push with my kneecaps. The wood creaked as I pressed into it, but it didn't budge. They had actually done it. They had buried me alive. My mind reeled at the thought. Intellectually, I had known that this was going to happen, but the reality of being trapped under half a dozen feet of dirt was something else entirely. I couldn't get my mind wrapped around it. I was panicking. My body thrashed as I unsuccessfully fought against the confines of the coffin. I kept crying out loudly, although I don't remember what I was saying. It doesn't really matter. The words weren't important. They were just the byproduct of the terror I was experiencing, alone, in the dark, unable to move. I think it was the hissing of escaping air that brought me back to my senses. My struggling had caused the plastic mask to slip off my nose. A new fear began to creep in. If the mask came all the way off, I would likely suffocate. Forcing myself to move slowly, I managed to slide my hand up to my chest to grip the plastic. It took a few minutes, but I was able to get it back in place. The near disaster made me understand that I needed to keep my head clear if I had any chance of surviving. Continuing to panic would only make me go through my limited supply of oxygen faster. I didn't know how long the tank would last, and I really didn't want to test the limits. Allowing myself one deep breath, I exhaled slowly and waited for my heart rate to slow back to something resembling normal. I laid silently in the dark for an indeterminate amount of time. It could have been minutes, or it could have been hours. I had never really been in total darkness before. Sure, I had been in rooms with the lights off, or other places where it was hard to see, but this was the total absence of light. It felt like the darkness was physically crushing against me. It was thick and oppressive. It was alive. The silence was another matter. In some ways, it was worse than the dark. Instead of feeling like a living organism, it was a cold nothingness that swallowed everything. Any noise that I made was instantly cut off. There's no way to put into words the sense of isolation I was experiencing. For a long time, the only things I could hear were the air being released into the mask and my own heartbeat in my eyes. My limbs started to tingle, and because of the close quarters, I wasn't able to stretch them to relieve the uncomfortable sensation. I noticed that my body was itching in multiple places. I was able to scratch a few of them on my upper body, but the majority of them were out of reach. Worse they became, more and more irritating. The thought occurred to me that this must be how people went insane. I was momentarily distracted from my discomfort when I heard a new noise. It was very faint, only lasted for a moment. Between the volume and brevity, I wasn't completely sure that I had heard it at all. Welcome in, Nicholas. Welcome in, sir. It's so good to see you. It's been so long. I instinctively tried to sit up at the sound of the voice. My forehead slammed painfully into the casket lid, and for a moment, the darkness was filled with bright lights that flashed before my eyes. I blinked a few times to clear them. It was a woman's voice. It didn't sound like the woman with the gun. The pitch was different. It was dry and raspy. I couldn't tell for sure. It was like it was coming from far away, like I was standing at one end of the tunnel and the speaker was on the other end. I smiled broadly and sighed in relief. There was someone near the gravesite. Sir, thank you so much for continuing your sub. I really appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I smiled broadly and sighed in relief. There was someone near the gravesite. My father must have cut a deal and my kidnappers were back to dig me out. I listened intently and waited. There was nothing. felt the hope start to slowly drain out of me. The hope was quickly replaced with unease. I knew that I had definitely heard the woman speaking. There was no question in my mind about that. Had someone just passed near enough to the grave for their voice to penetrate through the 6 feet of dirt? The itching returned as I contemplated over the possibility. Hearing voices that weren't really there was a sign of going insane, wasn't it? I clenched and unclenched my fingers. Would I even know that was happening to me? I suddenly felt certain that I was no longer alone.
Sub for 6 months because I don't go away anymore. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for the 6 months. I really appreciate it. You're so sweet. Thank you so much. Thank you. I place my sword upon thine shoulders, and when you rise once again as sir of our dear kingdom.
I suddenly felt absolutely certain that I was no longer alone. I tried to tell myself that's impossible. I was buried in a fucking casket, for God's sake. Of course I was alone. I was being stupid, and that was all there was to it. It was easy to prove, too. All I had to do was reach up with one hand and touch the wooden lid. It would take less than a second. Instead, I pressed myself as tightly as I could against the floor of the casket and put my hands to my sides. No matter how logical I tried to be about it, I couldn't convince myself that there wasn't something horrible directly above me in the infinite darkness. I heard a scratching noise from below me. It was coming from outside the casket, down deeper in the ground. I've been so alone here below the world. The woman's voice wasn't coming from the outside world. It was in my head. The blackness above me shifted. It wasn't anything that I could see or hear. I can't explain how I knew it had happened, but it did. The scratching grew louder. It was still below me, but it was slowly getting closer. I thought what my kidnapper had said about where I was going to be buried. She told me that the coffin was above a witch's grave. I dismissed that as a mere scare tactic, but I was starting to believe that there was something to what she had said. A chill ran down my spine, and I shivered. The scratching drew even closer.
Let me show you.
I felt tiny spots of cold against my forehead. Icy fingers being pressed against my head, the darkness erupted in red light, and my eyes opened wide as images flashed before them. I saw a woman with dark hair walking through the woods. She was wearing a gray dress with a matching bonnet. In her hands was a piece of rope that was tied to a dark sack that she dragged behind her. It looked heavy, but she didn't seem to be bothered by the weight. She came to a clearing in the trees. There were stone slabs and monuments that formed a ring, and in the center of the ring was a raised platform made of rock. She dropped the sack in the center of the platform before untying it. There was a moan from inside of the bag, and the small hand of a child reached out through the opening. My vision blurred. When it cleared, I was looking at the same woman standing in front of a small house with wooden sides and a thatched roof. Just beyond the cottage was a wide river that raced off into the distance. She was surrounded by dozens of people dressed in shabby clothes, holding large torches. They were pointing and yelling at her. They leveled accusations of that she was a witch, that she had defiled their town. The woman tried to reason with them, but it became clear that it wasn't working. She shrugged and smiled wickedly. She raised her arms, and the river rose up into the air and diverted course towards the gathered mob. The water slammed into them and rushed over as they tried to break free. When the river retreated back into its banks, most of the people were left dead or dying in the mud. Everything went blurry again, and moments later, I was looking into the deep pit. The woman was lying at the bottom of it. Thick iron chains wrapped around her body. Men used ladders to exit the hole. The woman screamed obscenities at them as they worked. Soon her shouting stopped as she became covered in soil. The men continued their task as the sun began to set over the horizon. I was suddenly back in the darkness. I gasped as I released the breath that I didn't know I had been holding. Below me, the scratching was louder and closer. I would have been questioning my sanity if the time for that hadn't been long past. Sanity had gotten off the elevator at the ground floor. Down here in the basement, there were only the void and the nightmares that dwelled inside. Tabitha Alden was free of the heavy chains she'd been wrapped in, and she was clawing her way up through the earth towards me. Maybe she was still alive somehow, or maybe death simply wasn't enough to stop her. It didn't matter. All that mattered was that she was coming. There was nothing I could do about it.
Don't be afraid. There's plenty of room for two.
Manic laughter filled the void. My terror got the best of me. I began to kick out my legs to strike the side of the casket. As I screamed incoherently, in that moment, my rational mind was gone, and in its place was only primal instinct. I could hear the digging below me, even over my screeching. The rhythm had gotten faster, as if it was more eager now that it was getting closer. It took a huge amount of effort, but I was able to take back control of myself and quiet it down. The scratching sounded like it was only a few feet below me now. I was hearing something else as well. At first I didn't notice over the echoes of the fading laughter, but eventually it was loud enough for me to detect it. It was a faint metallic jingling coming from up above. It sounded vaguely familiar. I couldn't quite place it. The witch must have heard it as well, because the digging stopped and everything was silent except for the noise. I could feel the presence inside of the casket with me, which I was now convinced was the spirit of Tabitha Alden, had returned its attention upward. The temperature inside of the coffin began to rise. She was angry, and her rage was radiating off of the spirit in waves of heat.
It doesn't matter. They're too late.
The scratching began again. This time it was more frantic than it had been before. It took me a moment to process what she had just said. Once once I did, things clicked in place and I felt a small glimmer of hope. Metal jingling was the sound of a shovel striking dirt. My kidnappers had returned and were beginning to dig me out. The witch's assault had turned into a macabre race, and it was the grand prize. There was a small thump just below my head. The scratching ceased for a brief moment. The witch's body had reached the bottom of the casket. I could actually feel the fingers scraping against the wood as it started to crack and splinter. The boards were slowing her down, but they weren't going to for long. The darkness above me didn't seem quite as complete as it had just been minutes earlier. The shovels were close enough now for me to hear each scoop as they cleared away the soil. The witch made a sound like a growl. It was filled with frustration and desperation. Soft hiss of air sank to run out of air. Soft hiss of air, my mask stopped. The oxygen tank had run out of air. That probably should have concerned me, but I figured that my fate was going to be decided one way or another before I would have a chance to suffocate. I had a new and more immediate problem to deal with. The temperature in the casket had risen so much that it was starting to burn. I felt like I had a sunburn across my entire body. The pain was slowly increasing as the shovels drew closer. Not having any other choice, I grit my teeth and tried to relax as much as possible. My head moved down about half an inch as the first wooden board broke away. The witch's spirit laughed in satisfaction. I quickly lifted my neck so the back of my head was no longer touching the coffin floor. I was horrified at the prospect of her fingers coming into contact with me. A shovel struck the top of the casket lid. There was a shout from above, and I could hear more of the dirt being quickly removed. At the same time, a second board snapped.
Too late.
The third board shattered, and I felt fingers grab the back of my head. They were freezing cold against my burning skin. I felt them flex as they dug past the hair into my flesh. My mouth opened wider than I thought had been possible, and I screamed wordlessly. The spirit's laughing turned into an exalted cry. I clamped my eyes shut as the casket lid was thrown open. The presence was gone. The fingers were no longer gripping me, and I was once again inside the wooden box. One of the large men that had initially taken me pulled me out of the grave and set me down on the cool grass. My eyes gradually adjusted to the light, and I was able to open them again. I had never seen a sight as welcome as the face of my kidnappers. The exchange went off without a hitch. My father had promised to give up his territory in exchange for my safety, and he was a man of his word. After a brief handshake between him and his now former rival, I was handed over, and that was it. My kidnapper's employer was now significantly wealthier and, more importantly, had a stranglehold over the city's organized crime. I think my father was secretly happy about the overall outcome. He had been thinking about retiring for quite some time, and now he was able to do that while guaranteeing that his employees would be taken care of. Besides, he had big stacks of money to cry into if you ever missed the life of a crime boss. And me? I got no parting gift. I had come out of the casket physically okay. My skin had been red from the heat, but I hadn't suffered any lasting burns. When a doctor looked me over, I hadn't told him what happened, and he said that he thought the odd redness was from hypoxia, apparently a lack of oxygen. can cause your skin to change color, anything from blue to red. Weird, huh? Mentally okay? Not so much. A few days after my ordeal, I started to hear it. It was the same scratching and clawing noise that I had heard coming up towards me as I laid inside of the casket. Instead of coming from below, though now it was in the back of my head, I could hear it scraping inside of my skull. I tried to ignore it at first, just try to convince myself that it was just some kind of PTSD. The sound only existed in my imagination. That didn't work, so I tried therapy. The shrink told me over and over again that I was hearing was just a manifestation of the trauma that I had suffered, and that none of what I thought had happened inside of the coffin actually had. His words rang pretty damn hollow. At 3 in the morning on a cold November, I woke up standing in front of the gnarled dead tree marking the grave of Tabitha Alden. There was a shovel in my hand and a freshly dug pile of dirt next to me. At my feet was a hole leading down into the earth. It was still dark out, and the only illumination that came from the headlights of my car. I had driven far enough up the small hill for the lights to reach. I had no idea how I had gotten there. I didn't know the how, but I was pretty sure I knew the why. The witch was in my head. She had waited until I fell asleep and marched me back to her grave like a puppet to dig up her body. I got in my car and started driving back home. I passed by a bar on the way, and deciding if there was ever any time that I needed a drink, it was now. Pulled the car into the parking lot and went inside. I ordered the strongest drink the bartender had and drowned it in one swallow. That was when I figured out that drinking helps with my little problem. It stops the scratching noises, and I haven't ever had another sleepwalking incident since I started getting plastered on a nightly basis. I guess my brain's no use to anyone when it's turned to mush. Not even a witch. There's only so long I can keep this up, though. The way I'm going now, if Tabitha Alden doesn't get me, my liver will. I'm going to have to sober up soon, which means I'm on borrowed time. There won't be room for two in my head much longer. And I am the one that won't be staying.
Alright, that's the end of the first story. What did you guys think? Did you enjoy it? The Mr. Panini, thank you for following and joining our dear kingdom. Welcome in. Yeah, I enjoyed the story. I thought it was a good one. It wasn't too scary. It was more suspenseful. I prefer stuff like that. I know this is spoopy time, but Snurrs sounds so adorable reading it. What do you mean I sound adorable reading it? I'm doing spoopy. What do you mean I sound adorable? What the heck? I'm being scary. I'm being scary. No, I'm scary. Rawr. Rawr. I'm scary. Rawr. Scary. Scary tonight. Today. It's not night, it's day. Alright, chat, I gotta pee real quick. And then I'll be back. I'm gonna pee and grab some tea. And then I'll be back. I know, I'm so scary. And then we'll do our next story, okay? Alright, LBRB. Oh, and if you have any recommendations for stories, feel free to let me know. Thank you, sir. I'm glad you like my reading voice. Thank you. Glad you like it. I wonder if I should change. Let's see. Okay. Alright. I'll be right back. If you have any suggestions, put it in chat. Otherwise, I'll just do creepypastas. you so much for waiting. Skyzy, welcome in. Thank you so much for the raid. Hello. So let me give you a shout out. Sky. See. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, raiders. Welcome. Welcome. For those who do not know me, my name is Snarline. You can call me Snare. I like to do comfy cozy art streams, ASMR streams, and chaotic gaming streams. But we're always cozy here. Thank you so much. Thank you. How was your stream? You're doing ASMR for 11 hours. Wow. That's so many hours. Blue Gray, thank you so very much for joining our dear kingdom. I truly appreciate your presence here. And if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to ask. I'll do my very best to answer. Welcome in, sweetheart. Feel free to introduce yourself if you want. Oh, I love Cult of the Lamb. We play a lot of Cult of the Lamb here too. Yeah. Cassier Ola, welcome in. The raid, welcome in. A spy in disguise. You're a spy in disguise? Oh. Sir, I really want to. I was actually talking with boyfriend. We were watching Overlord the other day, and I was like, I said one day I want to be able to sing good enough to cover every single Overlord opening and closing. I'm not good enough yet. Plus, if I did the Overlord songs, I would properly want to have, like, a professional mixer and song person. Like, I would want it to be a really professional cover, because I respect Overlord too much to not have it be perfect. I might do a couple of mini covers, like 15-second clips of it, though. There's one I've been practicing, what's it called? It's the second closing. I think it's called. Wait, Hydra. I've been practicing Hydra. Yeah, I've been practicing Hydra. Spy VTuber, that's really cool. What kind of things do you spy on? Info. Are you collecting my information right now and stealing it? Are you stealing all my information? Okay, closer to the screen. You're stealing my information? Okay, you're not stealing my info. Okay, good. I wouldn't want you to steal it. Don't steal my info. Yeah, you don't want you to be stealing that stuff, you know? Sir, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. Yeah, I would need, like, funding for that, though. If I wanted to do the proper one, I would need, like, to put together a song cover properly, I would need, like, $200, because then I could do, I would need, like, yeah, for a good, like, sound mixer and video editor, I'd need the two of those together, because I can make my own art assets, so I don't have to worry about the art and animations for the cover. But my voice quite isn't there yet. I want to practice some smaller things. Yeah, but we're focused on funding other stuff right now. But yeah, eventually I'd like to do that. I'm hoping to at least have, like, one proper song cover out sometime in the next, like, 6 months. I think that would be a cool goal. Yeah, like 6 months from now, have, like, a full song cover out. Because I also want to focus on funding merch soon too and stuff. But that's still a little ways off. Yeah. Not gonna lie, I'm really inspired after Graveyard Shift dropped their merch. I also know they have access to some things that I don't know, which makes it a bit easier, but still, they worked so hard on it. Like,
Their merch is amazing. But I would have everything I make would be like limited because I don't have a printer and stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Don't get too excited. I don't have it yet. I probably won't have merch for a hot minute. I'll probably release it after I release 2.0 Sir, so yeah, we're not quite there yet, but I'll probably release it like with 2.0 Sir or something like that. Yeah, 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 yeah. Booba Pad. Ah, yeah, Booba Pad. Unless like I collaborated with a company for merch, unless like the only company I know that really collabs with YouTubers my size is like Kawa Entertainment, but even then, like normally they're still a bit bigger, so I wouldn't want to bother them. Plus, I want to audition when they open auditions whenever they do. Yeah, I like it because it's they're like an adoption company, so I would still just continue my normal jazz. But it's gonna be super competitive. Yeah. Life is sticker, yeah, life is stickers. Yeah, it'll be super competitive. Plushes won't be here for a long time because those are really hard to fund, but eventually, yeah. Yeah, eventually one day. Like, well, there's all different sorts of collabs. Basically, any collabs that, like, I mean, just the normal kind of stuff, like, with any content creator, nothing really out of the ordinary, like sponsorships and, you know, merch. Yeah, snare plush. Yeah. That'd be fun. I love a snare plush, yeah. Yeah, snare plush would be good. You shall wait. Thank you, sir. Thank you for waiting. I appreciate it. I'm a ghost. I love playing with my tongue. I'm so happy with how the rigging turned out. I like that it's like wider like this, like, and then it gets like smaller when I do this. I'm not being sus. I'm just actually happy with the rigging. I'm not being sus. You're the one with unpure thoughts. You're the one with unpure thoughts, okay? I'm just talking about things I like. I'm happy with the artwork. You're the one that's like thinking unpure things. Yeah. Yeah. No, I'll have my new PC set up for next week. I'm setting it up on Tuesday. Yeah. I'm not on my new PC yet. Not quite. Yeah, Sky, go to sleep. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and for the raid. I really appreciate it. Have an amazing rest of your evening, okay? Sleep well. Good night. Yeah, see you soon. I can't wait to see you again. Have a good sleep, okay? Sleep well. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna get a sip of tea and then we'll start our next story. I need to find out which story we're gonna do next. I gotta look for another one. That shouldn't take too long. My tea is so nice and warm right now. Hell yeah, double Timmys. Thank you for the hydrate, Timmy. Yeah, it's 12:18 p.m. where I am right now. Let's see. This one looks interesting. He who wanders. Let's see. That one's so long. I want some like shorter ones. Jamba, welcome in. Why do you come in with me staring so hard? Because I'm staring into your soul. Because we're doing spooky stories. I wonder if I can filter them by length. I don't know. It's too long. I can't. Okay, how about this one? Is this one shorter maybe? It's so hard to read. I'm not being sussy. What the fuck? I'm being so wholesome right now. Oh my god, they're all so fucking long. I can't read for that long without like starting to fucking like wheeze. Okay. Alright, let's see. Oh, that's a fucking horrifying image. Ah, perfect. Okay, this one's nice and short. Alright. Alright, I got our next one. Okay. Thank you for the hydrate, Rar. Alright. This one is called, Quiet Sky. The Quiet Sky. And it looks like it was an anonymous submission. I don't see an author credit. God, I'll have to do something like that. Yeah, Rar, I'll have to do something like that one day. Yeah. When it's not spooky time. I'll do like a cursed ASMR reading or something. Karen ASMR. Karen ASMR. Okay, let me get the hydrate. Okay. Alright, here we go. It started when we called out to the stars. Into the darkness we felt so small, tumbling through vast emptiness while clinging to the skin of the world, and without a single reason why. We were curious, yes, but ultimately I think we were just terribly frightened. And we were young, so very young. We were children, and like a lonely lost child, we did the only thing we could think to make it stop. We did what we thought we had to do to make the universe make sense. We called for help. For years we scanned the sky for a sign. We sent signals to the stars in the darkness beyond. Are we alone? But the skies were always quiet, always so quiet, leaving us to our own makings. But crying children never cease, and neither did we. We sent calls into every corner of space for decade after decade. We refused to believe no one is out there. There had to be. Yet, for some unknown reason, they never answered us. Welcome in, Shrimpy. It's so good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Everyone remembers when that changed. I think it responded to the Archipelago message in 1974. The response to the Archipelago message was received almost 3 months ago in 2 separate parts. The first part of the message was received at the Hat Creek Radio Observatory in California. The Allen Telescope Array picked up what sounded like static interference that continued on for over an hour. It consisted of unintelligible screeching and buzzing sounds that continued without pause for the whole hour. The meaning of the message was never discovered, if it had one. The only thing we knew was that the signal's origin came somewhere in the Hercules constellation near Messier 13. As soon as that signal stopped, the real message began. We made contact that day, and we were asked a question. Who is there? It came not through the radios, but as a voice inside all of our heads. Asked the question to all of us. I heard it. My wife heard it. The young heard it, and the old heard it. Even the deaf heard it. Everyone everywhere heard this voice whisper that question in their heads in every language on earth. I remember it almost too clearly. It asked in a familiar yet indescribable voice that was always there in my mind. It was like one of my own thoughts had gone rogue and decided to speak directly to me. The world seemed to stop. Everyone listened for what came next. Where are you? The heavy question seemed to linger in our minds for hours afterwards, then for days, then for weeks. That day changed everything. There were doubters from the very beginning, and the holy ones who had claimed God had spoken to all of us and that the time to repent was now. There were those who claimed they had heard nothing, and those who'd claimed that the aliens had given them their own secret message. And of course there were those who believed but we had been contacted for the first time by an extraterrestrial race like us, one ready to communicate, ready to lead us out of the dark. We were wrong. We never made contact with alien life, at least nothing comprehensible or discernible to a human understanding. The stars are vast, and in their vastness our voices had touched the ears of something truly incomprehensible, something hungry and malevolent, the voice. We realized our mistake when the ground started to groan. Beneath our feet, everywhere the ground seemed to moan. The muffled sounds shook through the dust and dirt below us. No one knew what was causing it, at least not until the calls started coming in. The graveyards were screaming all at once. The dead had started screaming, every deceased man, woman, and child turning in their graves. All the animals did so too. Every dog, every cat, everything that had ever walked this earth. The cries of ancient whales shook the seas, and the shrill screeching of birds echoed in the forests. The caskets shook and the morgues howled. The voices stopped together in an instant, leaving the world in amplified silence. A new sound filled the air. The voice had returned. I hear you. It came as a whisper from behind, an ominous yet oddly playful presence that felt so close, but was truly still so far away. It let us breathe in the silence for a minute before it made us promise. It was a promise we all knew to be true. I am coming. The voice was gone, and the air was again filled with screams. This time they were from the living. After the voice had gone, we were left to our own devices. Millions panicked, and rightfully so, as their chaos took hold of the streets. Many would die in the violence and gunfire of the night. They would be known as the raptured before long, and the rest of us that were condemned, we could only wait. The screaming dead was only the first of the side effects that was felt as the voice approached. The closer it got, the more we felt it. That first night after the screaming was noticed, the stars bled for the first time. A section of the western sky had turned black, blacker than the night. It was only truly visible because of the ring of stars around it. Light from those stars had turned red, and they seemed to bleed across the sky like food coloring dropped into water. Their light swirled and flowed all around the edge of some unseen mass. I knew that I was staring into the face of the voice. Our scientists claimed that nothing was there, and that their radar and scans always came up empty. Their telescopes could see nothing but darkness in that section of space. However, the proof was right there in front of us. Every night, the ring of darkness got wider, and more scars bled in the sky. We watched it come. As each night passed, the black spot would widen, and more stars would distort and bleed around it. During the day, an all-new hell would greet us. Side effects worsened. The days always brought something new. I'm sure most of what happened will go untold and unknown. The animals started disappearing, all of them. No tracks, no traces or bodies were left behind. Pets would run away, some violently, so they all retreated, never to be seen again. The forests were left abandoned. The oceans empty, the air was left silent, the world left seemed empty and lonely. They left like water receding from the shore just before the tsunami breaks. One day, about 2 weeks ago, scientists tried to talk to the voice again. They hoped perhaps to reason with it. They told it about what was happening in our world and asked it questions. The scientists begged. It didn't speak. When asked, the voice sent a response. The next night, the skies lit up with streaks of fire. It was a light for hours, blazoned with orange and red. We didn't realize the effects until the next day, when the televisions turned to static and the telephones refused to work. We sat watching as old satellites were knocked out of the heavens. After that, reports became rumors and rumblings. Sanity a thing of the past. The air chilled and weighed us down. The voice was nearly here, and everyone felt it. It rained for a week after the satellites fell. The rain was salty and mired with an unknown filth that turned the grass black. Maybe the satellites tracked something back in with them when they hit the sky. No one knew for sure, as all we know is that it fell from the clouds as charcoal that blotted out the sun. Like liquid ash, darkness fell upon us for days. When the clouds went away, the skies were empty. There were no clouds, yet the sky hung low and gray. If the sun was anywhere in the sky, it never made itself known. Even if it had abandoned us, each day grew slowly darker and darker until night and day became almost the same. Some people would claim later that they'd seen things in the dark, creatures with gangly limbs and crooked faces lurking in the corner of their vision. They were tall, white creatures that looked molted or rotten through their transparent skin. Appearances would last for just a second or two, before vanishing without a trace. Some believed it was the first step in the aliens' invasion, and the rest of us didn't know what to think. We just knew that it was nothing that simple or benign. They must have been hallucinations, just more madness to endure, but ultimately as harmless as anything else. As harmless as the screams of the dead, the missing animals, the dying sky. Appearances slowly increased in duration and number. I think everyone saw them at least once, but I don't think a single person would ever guess why they were truly here. They never touched nor spoke to anyone, and they certainly never harmed anyone. Those who got good looks at them described them as mournful or sorrowful looking. Some even claimed creatures watched over them at night, and others even claimed that it seemed as if the creatures were sorry for them. One claimed they'd even seen prostrate up on the ground, hands clasped above its head. He said it was praying for us. Prayer was no help. The churches and places of worship that had divided us for so long failed to bring any hope in the end. The voice let them pray and beg for a while, but just days ago, the voice ended it all. No one questioned how, for at this point, nothing that happened surprised anyone anymore. But on the final day, all books of worship burned. Every last Bible, every last Quran, everything. People rushed to their centers of faith, but none found solace. The churches and temples had suffered the same fates, if not worse. The people were left abandoned by their greatest hope. There were rumors of churches all over the world with walls formed from the bodies of those who sought refuge. They were merged, the walls stuck to them like flies in a trap. They died, still pleading for hope, but they were beyond God's help. The rest of us had learned to stop begging. We waited. The final message came from beyond the sky, fell upon us. The voice echoed, and it spoke the simple truth. I am here. There is a darkness beyond that horizon, that the likes of which I doubt had ever been seen. Brings with it the screams of countless souls, and it moves fast. The stars are dying now, and I know they'll never be seen again. The light is dying so fast. I leave this not as a warning. No, it's far too late for that. Instead, consider this the last realization that humanity will ever know. For we used to wonder whether or not we were alone and lost, but never whether or not we were safe and hidden. The universe is infinite, and our understanding was significantly more finite. We should never have beckoned to the darkness. Instead, we should have clung to the light and closed our eyes every time we turned to the void. As the final minutes approach, I hold one final truth to be certain. I know now why the skies are always so quiet.
Alright. That one is done. What did you guys think of that story? I really liked it. I love cosmic horror. It's one of my favorite kinds. Like gothic and cosmic horror that's well written, like with pretty words. I love that sort of stuff. Yeah, I like it because it's like spooky, but it's not like, doesn't make me feel sick, kind of scary, you know? So I like that sort of thing. Get some water. Get a sip of my tea. Thank you for the hydrate, Timmy. I need to blow my nose real quick. listener. Man, I'm so tired. Why was it chunky? Did I forget to mute? Ew, it wasn't chunky. Nothing really came out. Like, I don't know, when I blow my nose, it's just like. I forgot to mute? Wait, did I forget to mute? Oh, I'm sorry. Gross. I have to blow my nose like every 2 freaking seconds. Oh no, I didn't. Okay. My nose wasn't chunky. It's like, I just constantly, I don't know, it's just fucking allergies. Year round. So I'm like always nasally. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, winter time is when they're best for me, but I still have them in the winter because then I'm like, there's like more dust and stuff normally. But my dust allergies aren't nearly as bad as like my pollen ones. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to figure out what story we should read next. Let's see. I'll probably just read one more story. I'm like getting a little out of breath from it. Howl Stride, thank you so much for joining our dear kingdom. Welcome in, sweetheart. How are you doing? Feel free to introduce yourself, okay? Thank you for joining. Welcome, welcome. Mwah. Welcome. Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the haunted house. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Yeah. Yeah, and then after. Yeah, I've never been to a haunted house before, so. Or like a proper one, so it'll be a lot of fun. Yeah, haunted house. But yeah, I think I'll keep streaming after this. I'll probably just do like normal, like kawaii ASMR to calm down from that stuff. I'm in a cozy mood. I'm in a cozy mood right now. Just Howl, I love your name. Reminds me of Howl from Howl's Moving Castle, so I'm like, Howl. Yeah. I love how the background went off, but it actually doesn't look bad with it being this dark. So if it turns back on, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know. Yeah, do you like how they stand out? Should I just do ASMR in the black? The dark? For a while? I can turn down the brightness even more. Hang on, let's see. Yeah, we'll do it in the dark ASMR. Okay. Okay, let's see. Alright, hang on, let me switch then if we're gonna do that. Okay. Alright. We are properly in the dark now. Oh, I just need to make sure. Let's see. Uh, I'm
I'm gonna get really bright for a second, I think. Let's see. Look up black image. Plain black background. I know I'm hella pale, bro. But I've tried to tell you guys, I'm freaking like a ghost levels of pale. Hello everyone, I am a wolf among men and a warrior at heart. I defend all VTubers I follow and slay the trolls. Well, hello Stride, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you for being here and being a troll slayer for me. I really appreciate it. Welcome in, sweetheart. It's good to have you. Okay, hang on. Oh my god. Okay. I just have to change where I'm linked to. Okay, it's upload. What's this tab called? Okay, there we go. Brightness done. Okay. I'm just shining. Aw, thank you, you're sweet. You're too sweet. Okay. Alright, there we go. Alright, we're nice and cozied up now in the darkness. I think, should I get even closer to you guys? I guess should I get even closer to be even spookier? Real close. Get real close and spooky. Okay. Yeah, closer. Get even closer. Okay. Alright. One last spooky story, and then we'll just do some normal ASMR. Okay. Huggies, I love Huggies. Huggies are the best. I had you on speakers while I was doing chores and made it so much more enjoyable. I'm so glad. Thank you, Juvie. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm glad I was able to help with your chores. It makes me really happy. Yeah. Happy. Thank you for listening to me. Okay. Spooky story. Alright, let's find a good one. I really like the last one. I think the last one was my favorite. Good cosmic horror. Oh, this looks spooky. How long was it? Oh fuck no, I'm not reading for half an hour. I can't do that shit. I'm like 10 minutes and I'm already running out of air. Okay, let's see. This one seems pretty spooky. How long is it? In the corner of my eye. Oh my god, that's also, why are these all so fucking long? I don't have the stamina to read for that long. Okay. Black. No, that one looks gross. Tiki Toby. I was thinking about that. Seems interesting. peculiar kind of madness. Okay, that sounds interesting. God, I'm such a crybaby. I'm looking through half of these and I'm like, no, too scary. No, too scary. No, too scary. Thank you, sir. I'm glad you like looking at them. Makes me happy. Okay. Alright, this one is called... Man, you guys are hella into the eyes. I didn't know you would be this into it. I'm glad you like that. Thank you. Alright. Okay, this one is called A Peculiar Kind of Madness, written by Matt Dimersky. Let me just check the tags to make sure there's nothing. Okay, the tags are fine. Alright. Aw, Timmy, stop making me blush. Stop that. You're making me blush. Okay. Okay. I'd always known that my great-grandma was an orphan, but in late October of last year, she decided to tell me the truth about what happened to her family. We were visiting for her birthday. It was a tradition in our household, a road trip we knew in the back of our minds we'd take only a few more times. She was turning 98, so that was just the cold, hard truth of the matter. In my childhood, the journey to central Iowa had been a fun and light-hearted affair, but now my brother and parents could only maintain strained politeness as we met up and hit the road together. Each of us knew this trip might be our last. For several hours we drove through the vast open farm fields that stretched from horizon to horizon. My great-grandma's house was down a narrow dirt road off a wide dirt road off a gravel tractor lane. As a city boy, it was more or less the most remote possible dwelling I could imagine. She was born there and had lived there her entire life, and would soon, well. As we parked in an open muddy rectangle and stepped out to stretch our legs, the constancy of the place surrounded me. Every single year of my life, this house and its land had been exactly the same. The sky was open blue, the earth was a sea of waving gold, and the wind was a smooth river of cool warmth. There was never anything to mar those three pillars of sensory experience except the house, the barn, a defunct old tractor, and the bell. The bell was a simple thing, raised high on an old metal crook. It sat out in the fields about a quarter-mile from the house, serving as a measure of the wind. If a storm was coming, the bell was supposed to ring, a necessary precaution in tornado country. The only problem was the bell and its crook had rusted over long ago. Every time I got out of the family van from age 5 to age 26, I glanced the direction and felt a sense of unease as my gaze fell upon the decayed artifact. This time, at age 27, I looked over and saw the bell had been scraped and polished clean of rust. It glinted in the sunlight, practically daring me to look at it. I followed my family inside while struggling with a feeling of dread that I couldn't articulate. Who had cleaned the bell, and why? I tried to stop thinking about it as we gathered in the kitchen and said our hellos. My great-grandmother was making tea and shooed off our attempts to help. She was a frail woman, for whom movement was difficult, but she'd never let that stop her. The Wi-Fi password is on a note in the living room, she told us with unquestionable authority. Go stare at your phones and the tea will be ready in a minute. My brother and I did as we were told, but my parents turned on the television instead of looking at their phones. For a few minutes we stayed in our separate worlds, only returning to the present when my great-grandmother brought in the tea, and we had a nice time. That night, when everyone else was long asleep, I happened to open my eyes and see a glow under the door of the guest room. I shared with my brother. My parents were in a different room and would not see the same light, so it was up to me to investigate. Quietly, so as not to wake him, I crept out and down, finding my great-grandma still awake. She sat in her big jade leather chair, her gaze on the television. She asked me without looking my way, "You don't fall for this stuff, do you?" "What, like ads?" She pointed her thin little arm at the nearby couch. "Sit." I sat. "I'm going to tell you a family secret," she said softly, finally looking my direction. "It's for you and possibly for your brother, but not your parents. Do you understand?" I didn't, not fully, but I nodded. "You know I was an orphan for a long time. Born in this house, lived with my family, but then raised by my uncle after it happened." She didn't wait for my nod. I was 10 years old at the time. It was my birthday. My mother had gotten me a small cake about the size of your fist. I looked forward to that cake every year, since we didn't exactly have sweets bounding about back then. Thank you for the hydrate. It was 11 cents, so rather expensive, but my mother got every one of us one on our birthdays, no matter what she had to scrimp or save. After a year long, I saw Mary get her cake in January, Arthur get his cake in March, Eleanor in June, Clarence in July, then Ruth a week after Clarence. It was months and months until me, the odd one out. On October 29th, I was so excited for the cake. As the days rolled closer and the morning dawned, as the hours inched by, I hopped around the house like a bunny rabbit, but I wasn't allowed to eat it until, well, after supper. I stared at the clock. Yes, that one on the mantel there. The brass and chrome one. Same one. But I stared at the clock, so I know. Night fell at 6:41. That was the moment. Bright orange stopped glinting off the clock and my mother rose to light a lamp. I looked up at her. "Now?" She smiled and shook her head. My brothers and sisters complained in a chorus in support of me, but she just shook her head at them. "Too soon, and she'll ruin her supper." Father came in from the fields not long after that, dirty and tired to all get out. He ate in silence while we chattered about what type of cake it would be. Under the frosting, who knew? It might be raspberry, vanilla, or even chocolate. Father came in from the fields not long after that. We grew silent as Father neared the cleaning of his plate, an event which would mark the end of supper. 4 pieces of meat and bread remained, then 3, then 2. Any moment now. He stopped at the last piece, holding it, unmoving above the remaining drop of gravy. We turned our heads. It was the bell. The bell was ringing out in the fields. Father grunted, then pulled the last piece of his food back on his plate before rising. He opened the door. We braced ourselves for the wind, but none came. He spat on and held up a finger to the night air, then shook his head. He moved back into our lamplight and sat. Arthur asked, "Is it gonna storm?" Mary asked, "Is there gonna be a tornado?" My mother shook her head, smiled at us, and told us not to worry. No wind meant no storm. But that bell kept ringing. My father dipped his last piece of food in the gravy and prepared to eat it despite the constantly ringing bell, but then he sighed and put it back down. He motioned to Clarence. Clarence was the oldest, so he understood he was nearly a man himself, and tying the bell would be no problem. He grabbed a candle, protected the flame with his hand, and headed out, opened the front door. My brothers and sisters and I piled up at the window. Opening it, we found nothing but absolutely still, chilly air. We watched his little spotlight move around the house and into the field in the direction of the bell. The clanging metal sound stopped finally, and the candle's little flame hovered next to it for a solid minute. "Why is he taking so long to tie it?" Ruth asked. Eleanor suggested maybe he's having trouble making a knot. Knots are tough. We watched for another minute or two before, and I know how this sounds, the little flame in the distance began to rise, slowly, smoothly, straight up. We followed it with our eyes, exclaiming the entire time as it moved out of sight beyond the roof overhang. The bell began ringing again. "His knot must have come loose," Arthur said. Our parents came to look at our insistence, but there was nothing to see then. Father moved to Arthur, happy to help out. Arthur grabbed a full lamp rather than a candle. We hurried out the front door, around the house, and into the fields while we watched from the window. The lamp was easy to see, and we were absolutely certain he reached the crook. As the lamp's light hovered there, the bell stopped ringing. At that point, we had no reason to think anything was amiss. Maybe wind had just blown a wisp burning candle string up into the sky. Clarence had gotten lost in the dark. He would see the lamplight, find Arthur, and they would both come back. The rising flame we had seen before had just been a fluke. The only problem was, staring out into the autumn night, we felt no wind at all. We stared at the unmoving light for a strangely long period of time. What was he doing out there? Was he calling for his brother? Why couldn't we hear him if so? Our parents looked away for a moment, and in that instant the lamp went out. We children bleated, but by the time they glanced back there was nothing to see, only darkness. The bell began ringing again. My father began grumbling, but there were no more suns to send outside. He narrowed his eyes with thought, then handed Ruth, the oldest girl among us, our main lamp. Our mother laughed. "Ruth, be a dear and go find your silly brothers." Ruth was a little hesitant, but she accepted the lamp. We could actually see her carrying hand in white pajamas and a small little halo. On the way there, she regularly called out, "Chance! Arthur! Are you two lost?" About half to where the other two lights had stopped, her calls went instantly silent mid-sentence. "Clarence! It wasn't that she'd given up the yelling. The sound reaching us had simply stopped completely. We would still see her carrying the lamp, still see her hand in pajamas, still see her turning this way and that. She even raised the house lamp near her face, and we saw her shouting in the darkness. We just didn't hear anything. Nothing except that constantly changing, clanging bell, growing faster in pace and louder in urgency. Mary, Eleanor, and I looked up at our parents in fearful gazes. Father shook his head, speaking for the first time that night. "So there's wind out there after all. The air is like a river inside an ocean. It's moving fast out there, carrying her voice away. But we can't feel it here." Mother seemed worried. She nodded and accepted that. We saw her accepting it, so we gulped and believed it too. We glued our eyes to that open window. Ruth reached the bell, and in the stronger light, it entered our view. Unmoving at the exact same time, we heard it stop ringing. Ruth looked this way and that, clearly concerned. She seemed to silently yell a time or two before moving closer to the motionless bell. A half-tied rope hung from the crook, an indication that someone had attempted to tie it, but we couldn't see Clarence or Arthur anywhere near her. She put the lamp down on the ground to free her hands for tying the rope the rest of the way, but that mostly hid the light amongst the low-lying, recently harvested stalks. We waited, breaths held. The air held in my lungs started to burn. At long last, we were forced to breathe again. Ruth's light continued to sit there, barely visible between the broken plants. "What's taking so long?" Mary asked. Eleanor said, "I hope she's all right." Father told us, "She's fine. Damn kids are just playing a game with us." Our mother nodded in agreement. "Eleanor, go pet your sister, will you?" Eleanor shook her head. "No way, it's scary out there." "It's just a game. You're not playing a game with us too, are you?" "No," Eleanor gulped. "Then go get your sisters and brothers and tell them to come back in." It was pitch black out there, and almost the same inside with us, save for one lone candle. Trembling, Eleanor took our last candle and crept out into the night, scooting along the side of the house to stay as close to us as possible. Shakily she called, "Ruth? Arthur? Clarence? This isn't fun anymore." Now it was we who sat in the dark. As Eleanor began to move further away from the last of our light, we tensed. Father eyed the open front door, and Mother softly moved to close the latch to it. I wondered what they meant by the move, because how were the others supposed to get back in? But I suppose they'd unlatch it if anyone came back and knocked. Mother moved away from us in search of candles, though through it all, the bell kept ringing out in the dark. Increasingly scared, I held Mary's hand tightly and yelled at the window, "Be careful, Ellie!" She must have happened to cross the invisible silent threshold at the moment, because she turned around in surprise and stepped closer. "I heard your voice so quiet, but there's no wind. Papa's wrong." She stepped away again. "See, when I passed this point, She held up the candle to show us that her voice was still moving, that her mouth was still moving, but we heard nothing. Come to think of it, her hair wasn't moving. We hadn't seen Ruth's pajamas billowing in any wind. I asked Father, "What's doing that? It's making it quiet out there." "It's just a game," Father said. "They're all lying. She's just pretending to make noise so it looks like she's being silenced." Eleanor reached the bell. Father's grip on my shoulder squeezed so nearly painful. She reached down for the lamp Ruth had left, lifting it with one hand and holding the candle with the other. She approached the clanging bell. "See?" Mary whispered to Father. "The candle's not going out, even though she's not protecting the flame. There's no wind out there." "But the bell is ringing," he said gruffly, "so there is wind." Eleanor kept looking left and right as if she had heard something. Slowly she reached the bell, which was hanging unmoving from the crook. We could still hear it ringing. Next to me, Mary began to cry. "It's a game," Father said angrily. "It's just a game they're playing." Eleanor threw the lamp at something in the darkness. We saw the lamp crash, shatter, and go dark, but heard nothing. She raced towards us, candle in hand, but the flame went out of her haste. We waited to hear her approaching or screaming, but nothing followed. The bell continued to clang. We waited in terrified silence. Mother returned with a candle for each of us, and we sat vigil in the window. Nothing and no one moved. For hours the bell clanged without wind. The night remained pitch black. The bell clanged and clanged and clanged, driving deeper into our ears each passing minute. Near midnight broke. Father was beyond agitated. "Mary, go find your brother and sisters." "No," she cried. "I'm not going out there." Mother glared at her. "You have to. This game has to stop." Urged on by both of them, Mary burst into tears and climbed out the window. "Karunas, welcome in, darling." Climbed out the window. Holding her small candle, she inched out into the fields. Her sobs went quiet as she passed the same point out in the darkness. Her flame reached the bell and the ringing stopped. Her flame snuffed out. We held our breaths. The bell began ringing again. Father clenched his fist. Go. I turned and saw he was looking at me. I suddenly realized I was the only child left in the house, and I felt horribly alone. Everything in me shrieked against the thought of going out into the cursed night. No. My mother wavered in place, no longer adamantly in line with my father. She began to cry too. What are you doing? He demanded. It's just a game. There's nothing to be scared of. She screamed and demanded, why do you keep saying that? Why have I been helping you do this? He grabbed her and shouted in her face, because we haven't been sending our children to their deaths. That's not what's happening. She pushed his hands away and ran for the window, pushing past me. She tumbled out and ran screaming towards the still clanging bell, not out of fear of father, but out of terror for her children. Arthur, Clarence, where's Eleanor, Mary, for God's sake, where are you? He growled and leapt after her, yelling, we didn't kill them, everything's fine. They both continued shouting until they passed the point in the dark, and all went silent, except for the bell. Twice more. It stopped ringing. And twice more. It began again. In panic and terror beyond reason, I closed and latched the window and pushed all the furniture against every entry of the house. I curled in a cupboard, holding the last candle up to my face as it slowly melted down towards my fingers. I was alone. Somehow I was alone. We'd all seen the danger and stared at right as it happened, but no one. They'd all gone out there anyways. I'd been surrounded by a full band of siblings my entire life, and now I was completely and utterly alone in a house in the middle of nowhere. By the length of my candle, it was 3 in the morning when the knock came at the door. I trembled, but did not make a sound. Knock sounded again, 40 heartbeats later. It was louder this time. I shook, holding the candle tight. The third knock was more like a tremendous crack or kick, and I heard the door explode inward. 60 heartbeats of silence passed, and the floorboards creaked. Something in me told me not to put out my candle for fear of it being seen through the cracks in the cupboard, but I didn't dare. Not darkness. I couldn't handle darkness. I would scream if I did, so I kept it lit. Slow, quiet steps moved throughout the house. Whoever it was seemed to be pausing and listening at times. At others, they would rush forward to a random spot in sudden frenzy and abrupt stoplight. 400 heartbeats after that, the bell began ringing again. But this time, it rang from inside the house. It rang from the kitchen. It rang near the bed. It rang outside my cupboard. Clang, 10 feet away. Clang, 5 feet away. Clang, right up the cupboard door. And then it opened. I sat expectantly, mouth open, eyes wide. As I waited for my grandmother to continue, after a bit I realized that was it. But what'd you see? She shook her head. That's not the point. I'm here, so obviously I survived. And a young man like you doesn't need to know what horrors walk this world outside the paved cities of man. Gulping, I asked, you're not just pulling my leg? This really happened? Yes. Her gaze went distant by television light. But here's what I want to tell you, and you should tell your brother. The thing that opened that cupboard and stared at me from the dark, the thing that hoped to wait out my candle before the coming of dawn, had a bell tied to one of its teeth with a blood-soaked rag, such that each would clang when its mouth was opened for hunting. Somehow, some way, some heroic poor soul managed to tie a warning bell to the thing before they died, We heard that warning bell all night long, and yet my entire family walked out there one by one. We didn't listen because we didn't want to listen. My father knew that he was doing halfway through. He didn't want to accept what he had already done, so he did even worse to continue living his life. I narrowed my eyes. What are you saying? She grabbed my hand briefly. Fear will tell you to put your candle out, but your head will tell you to keep it lit. Don't give in to fear. You keep it lit. You'll get through this. Turning my head, I became aware of a sound in the distance. Is that the bell? I was so caught up I didn't notice. How long has that been ringing? She just clenched her fist and turned back to the television.
Well, that was a spooky one. Oh my god, okay, that was actually getting me. Oh my god, that was so spooky. Oh gosh, Chad, that was such a spooky one. Oh my goodness. Thank you, Joey. Thank you. That was so spooky. Oh my gosh. I was actually I was really invested in that one. I was curious. Like, I was so mad at the dad. I was like, why do you keep, just go out there yourself, you big fucking wuss. I'm Lovable Lunatic. Thank you so much for joining our dear kingdom. I truly appreciate your presence here. Welcome in, sweetheart. It's a pleasure to have you. Feel free to introduce yourself. Thank you, sir. Thank you, Timmy. I'm glad you think my voice is relaxing. Yeah. Maybe I'll have to do different kinds of readings in the future. Maybe I'll do a reading of some of my old writing. Didn't think I could get this much entertainment out of something as simple as storytelling. Well, I'm really glad you did, Lunatic. I'm really glad. Glad you enjoyed it. I'll do r/Karen sometime, yeah. I always loved, since I was an English major in class, I always loved being able to read. I always volunteered to read because I loved being able to read in class with the other students. So yeah, I love reading out loud, even though my voice gets tired. And it's not even that my voice gets tired. I have trouble breathing because asthma is stupid. Yeah, Neo, thank you so much for the hydrate. But yeah, we read 3 stories. Took we had a good a good hour and 45 minutes of storytelling of reading. Thank you, Timmy. I'm glad you like that. Glad you like that. I'm not gonna end stream yet. I think we're gonna be done with spooky stories for now, though. I'll just do like some normal ASMR. I hate public reading. You best believe I was the one kid sleeping in class. Oh my god, I was such a fucking teacher's pet. I was like, teacher, pick on me, give me extra credit. Look at me, I'm being so good. I'm good, tell me I'm good. Yeah, okay, I gotta go pee pee, and I'll be right back, okay? Pee. the stream. One second. Guys, Neon's really great. You should check them out, okay? Give them a shout out. So if you want, Neon does really good ASMR too. They did some really good like make-out ASMR the other day when we rated them. I don't really do make-out ASMR. I might one day, but I'm not quite there yet. Yeah, so feel free to check out Neon. Yeah. Would you guys be interested in me doing make-out ASMR? I don't know how I feel about that. Like, I kind of want to do it, but at the same time, like, I don't want to be too lewd, you know? Thank you, Neon. I'm glad you're nice and cozy up. Get cozy. Yeah, we normally don't do ASMR this early in the morning, but, today I can't stream, during my normal hours today, and I can't stream tomorrow, so, on account of Halloween stuff that I'm doing. So today, we're doing some, odd streams. We're doing I'm Not Opera, where this week we had like some weird stream times, yeah. I should. ASMR. Yeah, it's like, read it, yeah. Part of me wants to try it just 'cause I'm curious. Paulette, welcome in. Thank you so much for coming in. How are you doing, sweetheart? Thank you for coming in. If you don't feel good about it. Yeah, I kind of want to, but I'm also really scared my dad's gonna walk in on the stream because he watches parts of my stream sometimes, and I don't want to tell him not to watch my streams because he'll get suspicious. But I don't want him to think that I'm doing like that I'm actively like making porn because that's not what's happening. It's just like relaxing, you know. It's like emotionally cozy and soothing. I'm happy you stopped by. Thank you, Paula. Thank you, thank you. It's good to see you. Pretty much, Timmy. He doesn't come for very long, but sometimes he comes for a little while, and I don't want him. I don't want him to walk in on that. Yeah, it's warm and cozy. God, I need to. Like, okay, because when you look up the ASMR tag, the top streams are always like half naked girls moaning into the microphone, and I want to be clear that I'm not like actively like trying to turn people on, and that it's just cozy, you know. Also, wait, Timmy, what did you want me to say, Timmy? What did you want me to say? I'll say it. I'll say anything you want. As long as it's to us, yeah. Don't worry. I just, he's very, he's a bit rude. He doesn't understand. I don't think that, like, I don't know. Yeah. Jimmy, are you interested in make-out ASMR, or do you prefer the wholesome stuff? I'm just curious what my audience is interested in. I'm, like, willing to try anything, at least once. Neon, if you're still here, Timmy wants you to choose something for me to say. Yeah. I'm spicy. I'm not lit, I'm spicy. Yeah. I just got a little spice. It's good. I see, yeah. You don't want me to whisper into your ear about cutting you open and drinking your and like feeding you your own blood. Yeah, yeah. Valid. A poem. Okay. A poem do you want me to read? Do you have one in mind? Thank you, sir. Yeah, but I'm not into ASMR. Because like I like the storytelling ASMR, but I also want to do like more like comfy ASMR too sometimes. I don't know.
should I just choose a random poem? I can just look up the word poem. Read it to you guys. Yeah. Smack thy cheeks, thank you so much for joining our dear kingdom. I truly appreciate your presence here. Welcome in, sweetheart. Feel free to introduce yourself, Smack. I'm so happy to have you here. Thank you for coming. Making out is kissing. Okay. Well, thank you for stopping by, Neon. Alright. It's like, yeah. Let's see. Okay, wait. Spooky. Let's look at poem. Alright. Poetryfoundation.org. Okay. Let's do one of these. Oh my god, why are they all fucking religious? Like, I have nothing against religion, I'm just not interested in that. Okay, let's see. Looks like I'm short full poem. Alright, here we go. Listen with faint dry sound, like steps of passing ghosts. The leaves frost crisped, break from the trees and fall. That's like Adeline and Carpsy. Yeah, little poem for you guys, yeah. Yeah. Okay. Guys, I'm gonna try something. I just want to know what you guys think. I want your opinion. Let me find a proper one. Where's the prompt? 1 second. Okay. Actually, no, I can just use my hand. Okay. So, I'm gonna try make out ASMR for just a second because I'm curious. And there aren't a lot of people here, so now's a good time to try it. So, let me know what you guys think. Okay, I don't know. What did you guys think? I'm embarrassed. I don't know. I might try it again when our 3DO mic is all hooked up. Because then I can really get in them ears, you know? But that's just a little, I don't know. I wanted to try it. Neon inspired me. Dude, Neon's make out ASMR is like next year. Like, holy shit. Yeah, you like that? I'm glad you like that. Yay. Yeah, I'm glad. Okay. Glad you like that. Okay, you guys liked it, alright? Happy you liked that. Converted to mush.
to say that you guys are doing a very good job today. And I appreciate all of you so much. And I hope that you're having a good day because you deserve to have a good day. So thank you for being here with me. There's no one else in the world that I would want to be here with more than you. Thank you. I love you guys so much. King Dwarf, welcome in. So good to see you. Alright. I'll have to do in-and-out ASMR at some point then. Yeah. Thank you, Timmy. Thank you. Yeah. But yeah, you guys are doing amazing. Have a good time getting some good foods, and have a good stream later, Neon. I love you. Thank you for coming by. Thank you. Of course, sir. I'm happy you're able to make it. I love you, King. Thank you for the routine. How are you, King? It's been a while. It's good to see you. Thank you for coming by. Alright. Guys. Well, I was gonna get my my makeup brush, but I just dropped it, so never mind on that. Thank you for the prayer. Timmy, thank you so much for contributing to the mixer for the microphone. Thank you so much for your contribution, Timmy. Timmy, thank you so much for the $23 dono towards the microphone. Thank you so much, Timmy. Or towards the mixer for the mic. We're 25% of the way there. Let's go. Thank you, Timmy. Thank you so much, Timmy. I love you. I love you, Timmy. Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you, Timmy. Thank you, thank you. Chuckles, welcome in. It's so good to see you. How are you doing today, sweetheart? Thank you so much. Jimmy says chat, get the mixture to 50% and I'll handle the rest. Oh my god, Jimmy. You're too fucking generous to me. What the fuck? You're too generous. What about Discord? Oh yeah, it's Discord. There you go. If you're looking to contribute to the microphone, it's right here. Let me... Here. If you're looking to contribute to the microphone, right there. Oh wait. There you go. No pressure though. No pressure at all. Okay, okay. Groovy, it's so good to see you. Welcome in, darling. I'm so happy to have you here today. How are you doing? Thank you for coming, Groovy. Thank you, thank you. Happy to see you. So happy to have you here. Thank you for the lurk bullet. I love you.
of the way there. Thank you so much, Timmy. I really appreciate it. Arigato, Timmy. Thank you for the mic contribution. I appreciate it so much. I love you, Timmy. Thank you. Arigato. Thank you so much. Sir, thank you so much for the $15 dono. I'm so grateful for your support. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Arigato, sir. I love you, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so very much. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for the $15 dono. Appreciate it. Gonna do some popping sounds for you, okay? No, thank you for being yourself. Thank you for the hugs. I give you huggies back. Thank you.
Jude. Welcome in. It's so good to have you here today. How are you doing? Thank you so much for joining. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, 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 meow. Well, thank you for hopping over to my stream. I really appreciate it. Please get yourself nice and cozy, and I will meow into your ears. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow. Meow, meow. 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 Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, meow, meow. Meow, 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 meow. Wait, were you actually gonna name your kitty cat after me? Or am I your kitty cat? Am I your kitty cat? Meow. 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 Are you kidding me, sir? I would be honored. I would be so honored. Oh, I should do like kitty cat ASMR, where I am cat and I purr, and I should do ASMR where I'm your cat. Would you guys like that? I can do purrs and scratches and meows. Yeah, purrs, scratches, and meows. Cat roleplay. Cat roleplay. Yes. I can purr on top of your chest. With the 3DO mic, it's gonna be so good too. I'm interested in doing a playful ASMR like that. Your kitty cat wants to play with you. Come here, your cat wants attention.
now. I only do streams live, so I won't pre-record. If I pre-record stuff, I'll just put it up as a YouTube video. Yeah. I'm sorry, sir. I hope I can give you comfy, nostalgic feelings. Timmy, this is for you. Do you guys like the meowing? That's fine, sir. I'm just glad you're here. Abandoned that dragon toy. Thank you so much for coming in. How are you doing today? I'm so happy to have you here. Midnight Wolf, welcome in. How are you? Thank you so much for coming, sweetheart. Chubby. I'm glad you're doing good, Midnight. That makes me so happy. Thank you for the pats. And the pets. Thank you, Chippy. Meow.
Latrell, welcome in, sweetheart. What would you like me to whisper? Happy Halloween! Shax, thank you so much for joining our Dear King nap. Welcome in, sweetheart. It's so good to have you. Feel free to introduce yourself, okay? You think I'm a good kitty cat? Thank you. That makes me so happy. Thank you so much. Yay. I'm really happy you think I'm a good kitty. Thank you so much, Shax, darling. I'm glad you like it. That makes me really happy. I want to get really close and meow to you guys. Meow even closer. Meow. Yeah, Shax. Meow. Meow, meow. Meow, meow. Bonita. Meow, meow. 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 I'm good kitty. I'm good kitty, yeah. Thank you for the hugs, sir. I'll give you hugs back. Huggy, 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 huggy. Huggy, 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 huggy. Huggy, 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 huggy. Meow. 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 I'm so glad to be. Meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, Elka. Meow. I am a kitty ghost. You like kitty cats, Shax? Meow. Meow. Thank you for the water swallow. There we go. Meow. 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 This kiss is for you, okay, Demi? Meow. 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 Thank you for the like, Julie. Good job getting your laundry done. Thank you for liking. Shax, you're too sweet. I can be your cat. You can feed me and give me pets. Thank you for the pets, Timmy. Am I your cat too? I love pets. Oh yeah, I wanna see it, sir. Yeah, send it in the human world. I'd love to see it. I'm a good kitty, yeah. Meow. 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 Kill wiggies. Wait. Thank you. Meow. 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 I'm a good kitty cat, yeah. I'm such a happy kitty.
So happy here with you. Thank you for being here with me today. Nyagato! Welcome in, Nyagato. I'm so happy to see you. How are you, Nyagato? I love you, Nyagato. Meow. Meow, meow, Oni-tan. How was work? How did work go, Nyagato? How was work? I hope it went well. You deserve to relax after a hard day at work. Fairly easy day, I'm glad to hear that. Yuna! Oh my god, Yuna! Yuna, thank you so much for the raid. Oh my goodness, wait. Everyone go check out Yuna. I love Yuna, she's so sweet. Oh my gosh, go check out. Go check out Yuna. Thank you so much, Yuna. You. I was so Yuna. So. Okay. Shout out. Everyone, please go check out Yuna. She's such a sweetheart. Okay, go check her out. Thank you so much for the raid, Yuna. What were you streaming? Welcome in. Thank you for the raid. We're doing some ASMR right now. Thank you so much. I love you, Yuna. Welcome in, X Young. Welcome in, Serpent Cat. Oh, I like that name. Serpent Cat. Slithering on in like kitty cat. Serpent Cat. Thank you for the radio now. Thank you so much. For those who do not know me, my name is Snareline. You can call me Snare. I like to do comfy cozy art streams as well as ASMR and gaming streams too. I'm a variety streamer. I both drew and rigged my own model. It's nice to meet everyone. Thank you so much for the raid, Yuna. Meow, 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 meow. Yeah. Right now we're doing some cat ASMR with some scratches and pops and pats and purring. I'll check it out after stream. Thank you, sir. Meow. Hi, Toes. Welcome in, Tom Cruise Toes. It's good to see you. How are you doing, sweetheart? Thank you for coming in. Meow. Oh, is it because they hear me meowing? Meow. Also, if you enjoy my content, don't forget to follow, okay? But no pressure. No pressure at all. Servant Cat, thank you so much for joining our dear kingdom. I truly appreciate your presence here. Thank you so much, Arigato. It's nice to have you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Feel free to introduce yourself if you want, okay? Riel, and welcome in. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for joining. How are you, sweetheart? How are you, Riel? How are you? I'm glad to hear that you're doing well, Rion. That makes me really happy. How did work go the other day?
go for it, go for it. Yeah, you can DM me later, go for it. I might not respond today because I'm going to a haunted house later. Yeah. Thank you, I'm really excited. I've never been to a proper haunted house before, so it'll be like my first time going to a really proper one. Yeah. Of course, Rio, and I would love to see it later. Yeah, of course. I get that. I never really take proper days off. Monday is technically my off day, but I don't normally take the full day off. I just work way less than normal, and then play D&D in the evenings. Here's some pat pats for you guys. Timmy, what would you like me to whisper to you? Help me rub. How dare you, Timmy? How dare you make me whisper something so untruthful? How dare? My name's Snur, and I'm a stinky baka. Rawr. I don't like that. I don't like that. Rawr. Makes me an angry Snur. Yeah, it's always very busy. Oh, I think my mom might be here. I might have to end stream. I knew I would have to end around this time. Anki Snur's mad. Yeah. Anki Snur's mad. Yeah, she's here. I gotta end stream, unfortunately. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, though. I had a great time, reading spooky stories and then just doing a little bit of normally humor. So thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Let's find someone to read real quick. Of
course, Timmy. Thank you for your generous donations towards the microphone and mixer. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see. What do we got? Oh, it's wait, you're gonna read Yazzie. Yeah. She's having her 2-year streaming anniversary. So we're gonna read her. But yeah, thank you so much for coming today, everyone. I really appreciate it. I had a great time with all of you guys, and I'll see you guys. I unfortunately won't be able to stream. This week. I mean not this week. This tomorrow or the day. No wait. Yeah, I won't be able to stream tomorrow, unfortunately. But our normally scheduled streams will return. Starting. Oh, I accidentally canceled the radio. I accidentally. But our normally scheduled streams will return. Starting on Wednesday. So I'll be streaming for you guys on Wednesday. Oh man, it's going so long without seeing you guys. It's like 3 days. It's so weird. 3 days without streaming. I won't forget. But yeah. I look forward to seeing you guys then. You guys are the bestest in the whole wide world. Don't forget to join the Discord server if you haven't already. For stream announcements, hanging out, fun times, and more. Check me out on Twitter for my art if you want to follow me on Twitter. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. I had a great time. Oh my god, yeah, it'll be November. I hope you all have a very happy Halloween. Thank you so much for spending this time with me. I had a great spooky week with you. I love you guys so very much. Next week we'll have a party for hitting 2K and for my new PC. I'm so excited. I love you all. I hope you have a lovely day or evening wherever you are. Until next time, I love you.